welcome to Sarah's Stamping Retreat. Today we're going to be making 15 cards using cut apart pieces from this 12 Days of Christmas paper pack. So you can see it's a pack with quite traditional colours and lots of pieces which you can kind of cut out. And we're going to be using mainly this page, so you can see there's 15 pieces here. And I've cut them out all out and we'll create a card for each, combining them with different papers and elements from the paper pack. So I'm going to quickly flick through this so you can see what's inside. You've got some really nice specialty papers at the beginning. I know you can't see the whole thing on here because my space isn't big enough, but hopefully you can get a good idea. So the first ones are specialty papers that are single-sided, and this one, I don't know if you'll be able to see on camera, but it's got a really nice texture to it. It's quite heavyweight with a really nice texture. Then you've got these drums which have glitter on them, and you get 3 of each sheet in this pack. It's a 48 sheet pad, so it's really big. You've got the glittery trees, you've got these foiled kind of like 5 gold rings type thing, and then you've got these which I think would be so lovely if you were like making a kind of 12 Days of Christmas advent calendar or something like that, like a Christmas countdown type thing, but also really nice for toppers on cards as well, that are all the numbers with the like symbols from the 12 Days of Christmas song, and that's obviously foiled as well. All the numbers are foiled. And then we get on to the kind of like normal papers. So then we've got these turtle doves, we've got these cut apart ones too, and then we've got the turtle doves, and then we go into double-sided designs. So we've got these sentiments with the pattern on the back, we've got poinsettia with this on the back, you've got this text which is actually the words from the 12 Days of Christmas with the music on the back. You've got these kind of wreaths with Merry Christmas on, which are nice kind of sentiment pieces with stars on the back. You've got these nutcrackers with the stripes on the back. You've got the snowflakes with the pattern on the back. You've got the candy canes with the polka dots on the pack. You've got the bells with the music on the back. So for the first one, we're going to be using this tag shape here. So I've got an A6 card blank, so that is 5 7/8 by 8 1/4 inches, scored and folded in half. So you get 5 7/8 by 4 1/8 inch card front. And then I've cut this piece of red cardstock to 1/2 inch smaller than that, and this piece of paper from the pack 1/4 inch smaller than that. So then I've got these small strips of red cardstock, and I'm just going to glue those across this piece of pattern paper, because then this will sit on top of those. So then I'm going to layer this onto my red piece and pop them onto my card. And I think sometimes the tag shapes are some of the hardest to kind of find a place for on your cards, in my opinion. But we've got a few tag shapes to use today, so I'll give you a few different ideas of layouts you can use for them. So then I'm going to add some foam pads to the back of this piece. So we've got this here, and that's cut from the pack, but it looks a bit messy doing it like that. So I want to have a piece of the red cardstock behind it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to this. And really I wish I'd put this on before I added this to the card blank, but we'll work around it for now. If you're watching this, put this on and this on before you add these to your card. It'll make life a lot easier. So then, because I've just added it to this tag, it leaves me a bit of room under here. So I'm just going to work around it by just trimming that up there. You'll notice I've kept it in line with these to kind of tie it in a bit. And then this piece I can glue on in this corner. And then just to finish it off, I've tied this red bow. I'm just going to add that on with a glue dot. And then I've got this cute card. So for this next card, I've got another A6 card blank, and then I've got two of these pieces of paper that are 1/2 inch smaller than my card blank, and then this gold piece is 1/8 of an inch bigger than the pattern pieces. And I'm going to take this pattern here and I'm just going to cut it, and I'm not doing kind of anything special. There's no like special measurements, but I'm just going to cut it from here to here. And then I'm just going to use a bit of this temporary tape just to tape that back up again, because I want the next line to go like this, but I want the line to run through both pieces of the paper. So this is the best way of making sure it's in the right place. So I'm just going to cut there. And then I can take this tape off. So then I've got these 4 pieces like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this corner and this corner on top of here. So I'm going to take that right in that corner. And then I've got these strips of gold cardstock, and I'm just going to glue those along the edges of those lines. Now I'm going to turn this over, I'm going to trim off the excess. So then I'm going to glue that to this gold piece. And then I'm going to glue that onto my card front. Then I'm going to add that on foam pads on there. Obviously you can add all of these things on with glue if you're worried about postage. I'll probably give a lot of my Christmas cards by hand, so I'm not too worried about that. And then I've got this little Noel that I've cut from the pack, and I'm just going to cut around that a little bit more. Then there's that one finished. So then for this next card, I've got an A6 navy card blank, and I've got this piece of pattern paper that is 1/4 inch smaller. I want to make a present out of this. So I'm going to add some ribbon, and I find it easiest to do this by adding on tape. And if you're not sure if it's going on straight, then you can always use your grid lines on your map. So I like to add on a piece of tape, and then I'm going to fold that around the back. And then I'm going to add on my ribbon over the top of the tape. And then I can fold it over and just secure those ends with those ends of tape. And then I'm going to do the same across the card. So then I'm going to secure that behind. And then I'm going to just secure this across my card. And then I can glue that onto my card blank. So then I want to make that tag like it's coming from the kind of wrapped over bit of the present. So I'm going to add that on tabs there. And then I'm going to add on this bow just to finish it off. So then that's that 3rd card finished, and that's another really nice way of using those tag shapes. So for this next one, I'm going to use this 12 drummers drumming topper. So I've cut out loads of these drums from the drum sheet, and then I've got a 6 by 6 inch cream card blank. Then this green piece is 1/4 inch smaller than that, so 5 3/4 inches square. And then this one is 5 1/4 inches square. So then I'm just going to layer these onto my card front. So then I think I'm going to glue on these ones that are in the corners. Then I'm going to pop these ones up on foam pads. And then I want to pop this up in the middle, but I don't want the foam pads to overlap any of the drums, so I'm actually going to put the foam pads onto here instead of onto the back of there. And then I can just add that onto there. And then that's a really fun card. So the next card's a super simple one. I've got a 5x5 inch card blank. Then I've got a 3 3/4 inch square piece of gold cardstock, a 3-inch square piece of this pattern paper. I can layer all of those up. So then I'm going to pop this up on some foam pads. I'm going to pop this down here. You might have noticed that I got a bit of extra glue there. Best thing to do with extra glue is to wait for it to dry and then get one of these adhesive erasers, and look, you can't even see it anymore. And then I'm just going to add on these bells. So there's that one done. So then for this next card, I'm going to create a 5x7 card. So I've got a 5x7 red card blank. I've got this piece of pattern paper, which is 1/4 inch smaller. So 6 3/4 by 4 3/4 inches. And I've got this red circle, measures 3 1/4 inches, but it doesn't need to be exact. And I'm just going to pop that in the middle of my card. Then I'm going to add on my tag from my cut apart pieces. And I'm going to pop that on some foam pads. So then I've cut some of these bells from the page with the bells on, and I'm going to add some of those to the card. So this bell I want to sit like this, so I want to glue behind this bit and put a foam pad behind the bottom. So then I've got this Merry Christmas that I've cut from the sentiments from the pack, and I'm just going to add that on here. And then finally, just using some of this ribbon again. This is the same ribbon I've used all the way through. It's just some from my stash. I've had ages. So I'm just using the same one on each of the cards. So that's that card done. So then for this next card, I've got a top folding green card blank, and I'm just going to cut a piece off the end. So this is another A6 card blank, and I'm just going to cut 2 inches off the bottom of the front of the card blank. So I've just cut that 2 inches off the bottom of the card blank. So then I've got a piece of paper here that is just 1/4 inch smaller than this section here. So I'm going to glue that onto there. And then this piece measures 2 inches by 3 7/8 inches. And I'm going to put that on here. So then folded, that looks like that. And it still stands up nicely like that. You can put in a white piece here for your message. And then all I'm going to do is just pop that up on some foam pads. But obviously I only want it to be popped up on this part, because otherwise you won't be able to open your card. So I pop my finger there, and then I'll replace that with a foam pad. So I know I don't want any foam pads close to this end than that. So it's really simple, but I think that that added kind of edge just makes it that bit more interesting. So then for this next card, I've got an A6 card blank. Then this piece of gold cardstock is 1/4 inch smaller, so I can glue that on. So then these strips I've cut from just oddment pieces that I had left of this paper, because I've used a lot of this paper to make the cards for this video. So I've only used like one sheet of paper, but I had some oddments left from that sheet, so I wanted to use some of them on this card. So these strips are all 3 7/8 inches, and when you stack them on top of each other, they all make 5 inches together. But it doesn't really matter what widths they are within that. So mine are just oddments, like I say, that I had left over. I could just cut down to the right thickness. And then you just want to make sure that when you have them all together, they're 5 inches high. And that will leave you enough room to have the right spacing between them. And then I'm just putting them on in any old way. So I've got my strips on, and then all I'm going to do is add on my cut apart piece like this. Just having those little stripes in the pattern paper just adds that little bit of interest. So when I'm bulk making cards like this, I don't want them to be too fiddly because obviously it takes too long to make them then. So I like to make intricate cards, but only when I'm doing like 1 or 2 at a time. When I'm doing this kind of thing, I like to add fun details that are easy to create. Then there's that card. This one's going to be a nice simple one. So we've got a 5-inch square green card blank. I've got a 4 3/4 inch square piece of pattern paper. Then I've got a 3 1/4 inch square piece of the green cardstock that matches the card base. And then I'm just going to pop up my cut apart piece with some foam pads. And there's that card done. So then for this next card, I just thought I'd add a fun element with this antique gold ink spray from Altinu. It's absolutely not necessary to have it to make the card, but I just thought it adds just like a nice little glitz to it. So I'm just going to quickly spray that. And as you saw, I literally just added one single spray for a bit of texture to the card. So then while that's drying, I'm just going to add some fine pads behind some of these elements. So this is a cut apart piece from this card, and everything else I've just cut from the normal pattern paper pieces. So then I'm going to add this glad tidings across the bottom of the paper, and then I'm just going to lay out my other elements so I know where I want them. So I'm going to lay out the elements like this. Then I'm going to pop this piece up on some foam pads. And then I've just got some of these gold gems from my stash that I'm just going to add around to add some more interest. So there's that card finished. You can see that that gold spray adds a nice little glimmer to it, but it's not like super necessary. It's just a nice added extra if you have something similar to hand. So then for this card, I've got a red A6 card blank. Then this piece of pattern paper is 1/4 inch smaller. So then this piece of red is 1 inch wide and the same width as the pattern paper, and the gold is 3/4 inch wide and the same width again. I'm just going to add those together. And then I'll add my topper on with some foam pads. So then I've just grabbed a few little gems out of my stash because I thought it'd be fun to add some gems to the baubles on the tree to make them look like proper baubles. Again, this is like a nice added step, but it's not really like necessary to make the card look nice. If you guys are like me, you've probably got some of these type of things in your stash. I'm kind of following the colours that are on the tree, but obviously if you have different colours then you're covering up the colours that are on the tree anyway, so just use whatever you've got on hand. So that's now really pretty, and that adds a real level of bling to it, which is nice. So then for this card, I've got another A6 card blank in red. I'm going to glue on this piece of pattern paper, which is 1/4 inch smaller. So then I've got 3 strips of red cardstock, and I'm going to lay them across my card. So then I'm going to add this, which is my cut apart piece, onto the card. And then I'm going to use this nutcracker that I've cut from the pack to decorate the tag. And then I've got this little joy, which is just cut from that same sentiment stripped piece of paper that I've been using through a lot of the cards. And then I'm going to tie a little bow for the top of the tag. I usually like to tie my bows while they're still on the roll of ribbon, so that you always have to trim this down a bit, but then the bit that you cut off this end, you're cutting straight off the ribbon reel, so you're not wasting any extra then. So I'll be wasting this little bit here, but then this little bit on this side is just getting cut straight from the ribbon reel, so there's not going to be no waste on that side. And there's that card done. So for this card I'm going to make another present card, but with a slightly different layout. So I'm going to make it in the same way. I've got a 5-inch card blank for this card. So this piece of pattern paper is 4 3/4 inches square. So I'm going to add the ribbon on in the same way. So then we can add that to our card front. Then I've got this Merry Christmas, and I've got a piece of red cardstock, a real smidgen larger, so that it just has a really tiny border of red around the outside, just to make it kind of stand off the card a little bit. So I'm going to pop that across the bottom of the card. There's that one done. Then for this one, we're going to make some fun kind of paper straws. So I've got 2 pieces of paper, both measuring 2 by 5 3/8 inches. And the reason they're 5 3/8 inches tall is because that's the same height as this pattern paper here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some tape along one of these edges on each. And I'm adding that on kind of the wrong side, like the side I don't want to be seen. And then I'm going to take that off, and I'm going to roll this round a pencil. The other thing that can be quite good is to kind of start it off. It's quite nice to kind of curl the paper around a bit, especially because this is quite heavyweight. I'd say it's more of a thin cardstock than paper really. If you curl it like that, it just helps it kind of bend a little. My card blank, I've got this piece that is 1/2 an inch smaller, and this piece that's 1/8 of an inch bigger than there. So then I find that the best way to add these paper straws to your card is to add them with some tape, because then they stick instantly. If you've only got wet glue to hand, then you can still do it, you just need to hold them in place for a while. And you want to stick them so that seal is facing down. So I'm going to add those onto the edge of my card. So then I've cut these bells, which I'm going to add to here. And then this glad tidings tag piece from the toppers, which I'm going to add on with some foam pads. And then I'm going to top that off with that bow. So then there's that card finished. And then for my final card, I've got my card blank. Then I've got 2 pieces of pattern paper that are 1/2 an inch smaller than the card front. And then this piece of gold cardstock is 1/8 of an inch bigger than these pieces. So then I'm going to cut this piece from corner to corner. And then I'm going to do the same trick as the other one that I cut up. So I'm just going to pop some tape to keep that together. And then I'm going to cut it from corner to corner the other way as well. And then we can do the exact same with the other piece as well. So then we can take the tape off the back. Because it's that really low tack tape, it comes off really nicely. This is the mint tape from scrapbook.com. So then obviously you've got the pieces to do this twice, you can mix them around. I'm just going to make one of the cards. So I've got my A6 card in red. I've got this piece of gold that is 1/4 inch smaller. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add these pieces to the gold piece. So I'm going to use the green for the top and the bottom sections, and then that poinsettia piece for the side sections. And then I've got some thin strips of gold cardstock that I'm going to put along the joints. And then I'm going to trim that off the back. So then I'm going to add that to the card front. And then I'm going to add on my topper with some fine pets. And that's that card finished. So let's bring them all in. That's all 15 of today's cards. I really hope that you enjoyed creating them with me and got some ideas for what to do with the cut apart pieces from your pattern paper packs. If you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate you clicking like below, and you can also press subscribe if you'd like to see future videos. If you press the bell button and select all, then YouTube will also notify you when I've got a new video available. You can find links in the description below to all of the products that I've used for today's cards, and there'll also be a link there to my blog where you can find a picture supply list if that helps you find what you're looking for. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you again soon.